News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis. Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Welcome to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning.
I'm Allan Gilbreth with darkoakmedia.com.
And I'm Maximilian, hoping that I could go back in time and wish you a happy Back to the Future Day yesterday.
Oh, well, why not? You got a time machine, Max. Go ahead. So.
Well, we told you a lot of funny jokes, but you didn't like them, so we're not going to tell you.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
I don't even know why I'm awake this early in the morning.
And that is our half-awake buddy, Brandon Olmsted from Geek Tank Radio.
You should probably leave now so you can spare your sanity.
Yeah.
I don't have any sanity left. I've been working with Joe for way too long.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
There ain't no sanity clause. He knows.
You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. And we invite you to go to Tool Talk Radio on Facebook. Give us a like. Check out the action over there. I've posted the must-have item of the week. I did not post a video of usually I'll link a video of our great moments in building history, but you guys, good luck trying to find the exact one to pick. There's literally probably 50,000 videos to choose from, and I just gave up. I said, you know what? Somebody can jump on and find it themselves.
Just look it up. Yeah.
In honor of Halloween, and that's one of the reasons Brandon has stepped in early this morning, we are going to celebrate great moments in building history, the Winchester House in California.
Oh, yes,
Oh, you know the perfect video you could have done, Joe, is just link them to the website so they could take the virtual tour.
Okay. Well, you know, they know how to use the internet too. I'm going to let them do it. So, but yeah, in honor of Halloween, we want to stay spooky. And this one, it's spooky but very interesting. There's actually this lady that constructed the what was her name? Susan Winchester, right?
Sarah
Winchester was actually
Party Winchester.
She was at we always talk about the cutting edge of technology. For her day, she was at the cutting edge of technology with a lot of the features of the home. So
she was on the edge on a lot of issues.
I was going to say, you kind of have to be when you're trying to outrun ghosts.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to dive into that. And Allan and Brandon have some Halloween hacks, I suppose, Halloween DIY. There's really no greater expert. We yield the floor to Brandon when it comes to Halloween in terms of the home improvement aspect or the decoration, whatever
I was going to say, I don't know how much an improvement happens, but it definitely looks spooky.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and Allan, science, well, I don't know if this is science, but California, you said, is getting ready to ban gas-burning heaters. This is sort of a warning tale.
This is a major shift in how we're going to be thinking about homes for the future.
Okay. Speaking of gas, Allan is going to get on a soapbox and rail against this 1920s floor furnace he dealt with this week.
Oh, my gosh.
In turn, it's funny because it inspired a new segment, and I hope we have time to get to this. If we don't, we're going to get to it next week. It's a new segment we're going to start introducing called Design Flaws.
Oh, yes. Translations, how we bought things that are going to kill us.
Yeah, absolutely. So and in a minute, you guys, we have a listener request that we're going to get to, but I just want to say this here on the air. It's with a heavy heart. I have to look at Allan. Well, I don't know if I have to look at Allan and say he was right or anything, but if you've listened to Tool Talk Radio for any amount of time, you know that my Old Blue is the old variable speed drill that I bought, 20 years ago. That thing has fallen off of ladders. That thing has been run over by cars. It's been I've had to splice the cord a few times because it got, whatever. I finally had to I had to just be realistic, and I've retired Old Blue. Now, that's not, I didn't throw Old Blue out. Old Blue is now in a very comfortable retirement shelf in my garage.
It's joined the tool retirement community. Yes.
Because a lot of times I would keep it in the car, and I'm just like, okay, it's really just taking up space. I'm never going to use it, and an Old Blue deserves better than to be stuffed under a drop cloth or something.
So, Joe, when did you remove it from your truck?
About 3 days ago.
About 3 days ago. So on Tuesday of next week, you're going to need it for some reason. And you're going to be like 30 miles away from the house.
Yeah, but it's funny how you can become emotionally attached. But I bought this cordless drill set, and I got to admit, this thing is I really there's no real reason to use Old Blue right now. So maybe one day, I'll pull them out of retirement. So.
We've all got that tool that we use all the time until it falls apart.
Yeah,
mine is my Dremel tool. I mean, I've gone through like 6 of them in the past 10 years because of how often I use them.
And I would say don't throw them away. Just don't just discard them and you get emotionally attached.
Well, that's true too. But when one of them starts to break down, you can always salvage parts from another.
That's true. Yeah.
Keep them going. I got to admit, I've got a sledgehammer and a giant yellow wrecking bar that I have had for 30 plus years.
You sleep with that by your bedside table. I know that
they actually have names. It's Smack and Yellow. And you'll be on a job site, and it's hilarious because nobody will say, go get me the sledgehammer. Everybody on the job site will be like, hey, man, where's Smack? I need Smack over here. And you'll see somebody go get my sledgehammer out of the back of the truck.
I didn't mean to go down the rabbit hole on this, but have you guys ever felt like I felt extremely guilty putting Old Blue on the shelf? Did you guys feel that way? Dude, like if you have a tool, like you're betraying that tool? Or? Me
and Amy have a ritual really when we have to give up a tool or an appliance or something, and we will basically hum taps as we walk it wherever it is. I kid you not.
Okay, I got nothing on that.
It's funny. I was actually thinking of having Max cue taps up, but it's funny how.
But no,
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Old Blue, long live Old Blue, I suppose.
Right.
So, but anyway, I just thought that was worthy of mention. But all right, Max, cue it up. We got something here. This one, I feel like we'll all be emotionally invested in the answer on this one. Text line. My wife and I are fairly new homeowners.
We've all been there.
Yeah, we know that story. We want to retile our bathroom floor and shower. The room measures about 6 feet by 10 feet. We've watched videos, but it still seems a little intimidating. Any advice would be appreciated. Thanks, Mario. Yeah, Mario, you
need to be intimidated.
Well, we've talked about there's more going on here than just technical things.
Oh, yes.
This is the whole thing we've always said, because I would have to guess that they're going to have to remove tile. Yeah. Once you do, there's no turning back. There's that whole...
And you never know what you're going to find underneath said tile.
You only get to swing that first swing of the hammer. You only get it once, so make sure you really want to do it.
And
because once you bust it, you're in for the entire trip.
It is a psychological turn, but it's also going to be when Mario, when you guys are done with this, it's going to be and you're going to make mistakes. Just get to it. You know what I mean? Just accept that. So I've got a list of tips. Do you guys have any? Who wants to start? I guess we start with demolition. Obviously, tile is nothing to play game. You wear safety glasses.
Please
wear a face shield.
Wear
honestly,
a face shield.
Like
gloves.
Don't just grab the goggles and a face mask. You want a shield.
Face shield, because you will get cut up.
Those shards go everywhere.
And get the good gloves. Spend the extra $10 to get the better gloves. And
don't get the little cheesy cloth things that you go out there and do the gardening with.
Yeah, you want that glove that you could stick your hand in an engine, it'll stop the rotor.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we talked about this. Have a variety of. Now we've seen it. We don't know how old this bathroom is. We don't know what he's pulling out. Some of this tile just pops right out. You could literally take a scraper and pop it out. Others, you need like a serious, sledgehammer to. Just I would say get a nice solid hammer, Mario, and then get the. We are big fans of the 3-inch. It's go to the scraper aisle at your big box store, and it's a 3-inch. It's got a little bevel, and test the blade. It's the real. It looks like a spackle knife, but it's not. It's a very stiff, rigid,
heavy duty,
and that's the best one in my opinion for getting underneath, getting in between layers.
Can't argue with that. No, I got about 6 of them. Yeah.
So once you get it out, and just be patient because this part's not fun, and then you just got to get it down to where you can put that backer board. We are big supporters of backer board, right, Allan?
Well, I will throw in one thing. Because of the size of the floor and everything he's doing, if you're a gardener and you have a flat hoe, like for edging weeds, those also work really well for being able to stand up and scrape the floor and knock a lot of that stuff loose.
Well, be careful. It's a 6 by 10 bathroom, so just keep them on. You don't want to swing back and go through the drywall.
Right. I mean, this is something you got to be careful with, but just because he's got such an area to cover, and a lot of people may have trouble bending over, I've found that one of those at the proper angle we'll do a pretty passable job for getting that stuff up.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and I should say, one of the best investments you'll make, and you're going to use this for years, so just go ahead and buy one. You know those, they're not a drop cloth, but they're kind of like a drop cloth, but they're super thick. It's like what the movers use when you're padding your furniture, moving pads. Get yourself one of those and stick it in the bathtub because as he's taking it off, that stuff's going to fall in there, and you don't want to scratch up the porcelain. But the one mistake I think a lot of people make before you take anything off, take a good look at the floor and see how square the room is. Because if you're looking at the baseboard and you're like, wow, the tile there now is going in at sort of an angle and it's kind of odd, keep aware of that because when it's time to lay the tile, then you're going to have to compensate, So that triggered Allan.
You just actually said something before you take up the first tile.
Right.
You got to take off the quarter round and the baseboard.
Yeah.
Take your razor blade and make sure that you work around the edges of your baseboard and your quarter round, and this will keep you from shredding your walls.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
They're painted in.
Mm-hmm.
I know they may not look painted in, but I promise they're either shellacked in, glued in, caulked in somewhere. So you need to take a razor blade or a good utility knife and go through it and make sure you get that loose and go ahead and take that out before you begin the demo.
Yeah.
And that way, if you're really good, you can get them off intact and possibly even reusable.
Right.
Now, depending upon the renovation, you may not want to use them again. But get those out of the way first because that's usually where I find people get cut trying to get those off after they've been breaking the tiles.
Sure.
Because all those little sharp edges are underneath there.
Yeah. Here's something else, Mario. So when you take some pictures before, and like we said, study the floor and get a sense of where how square your room is because hopefully it is. But with tile, you're not going to just start necessarily at one wall and start going to the other wall. Usually you more or less start in the center. You establish a square. It's kind of, depending on the shape of the room, you might start literally in the center of the room, establish a square line. It's a good time to have a chalk line with you. Do careful measurements and always, Allan, I know you're going to support this, do a dry run. Lay every piece of tile down.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And put the spacers in, put everything down, and don't glue anything yet because that's the time when you can fix it later or adjust it.
Do not play with the thin set yet. Leave it alone.
I think that's where people make mistakes. They start gluing and slinging and,
Well, and it's the fact that, and Joe, you and I have brought this up many, many times. Your house has moved. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter if it was perfectly 100% laser square 10 years ago when they built this house.
Right.
Your house has wiggled, shimmied, expanded, and contracted since then. And as Brandon has pointed out, you still don't know what's under there.
Oh, yeah. Exactly. So, and we should say, too, like we said, make sure whatever surface you're working on, we're big advocates of just get rid of everything and lay down this, it's like a 1/2-inch backer board, which is sort of a concrete material, and the tile sticks really nice to that. And that way, you don't want to just have a wavy floor. You don't want anything with any dust. You don't want anything where wood is rotted.
You don't want it creaking either.
Right.
That's another kind of weird side effect of mismatching plywood.
That's a good point, Al. You should get the backer board down, get everything, and just walk around on it. And if you hear a squeak, you take a 3-inch drill and just or screw and just zip in there. But do the dry run. What else? I would say too. Sometimes you go to the big box store and you're picking out your tile and you go, ooh, that grout color is really nice. Well, is it going to be nice in 3 months after the dogs have run on it? And really think about your colors, man.
Brandon, after the dogs ran on it?
You also want to make sure that the lighting that you are seeing it under matches the lighting you're going to actually have it displayed under, because that is almost never the same.
Right.
And this is one of my favorite ones, so Joe can roll his eyes already. Go ahead and get you a little 12 by 12 board from the scrap section and practice one.
Oh, I'm not arguing with you on this one.
Well, put the grout on it, then set it together. You're just going to make a little 12 by 12. And then I'm going to look at Brandon and say, take that in the bathroom and look at it.
Right.
And go, because this is what it's going to look like on the wall or on the floor.
No, I'm with you on that one, Allan.
You will be shocked at how much color can change from the living room to the kitchen to the bathroom.
And when you start grouting, if you've never grouted before, you're going to go, oh my gosh, you rub it in there, it's gonna look awful because this cloudy film is gonna land on there. Don't panic. It'll come off, but but also don't leave too much on. But mostly you can get grout off of tile. But,
Brandon just gave me a side thought. He didn't even know he did, but he did. Are you changing the lighting in this room?
Okay.
Are you changing the lighting? If you're changing the lighting, do that first.
Absolutely.
Oh, good point. Yeah.
And
you could get all this done
and maybe slap
and put
whatever
in those
paint color you're
new
putting
LED
up there.
moisture resistant lights up there.
Yeah.
And discover that beautiful light gray that you decided is now a funky, it now looks dirty.
That's true.
And as Joe was just saying, you want get that light in there and then decide if you want to repaint before you do the tile as well. Because the way those walls are going to look, it's also going to affect how the tile is going to look in the overall.
Yeah.
And that lighting will change everything about your bathroom.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say this just from an artistic standpoint. Don't get too, fancy with your tiles. Because once you lay it wrong, one piece wrong, you have to bring it all back up.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's why we say for sure do a dry run. And also other thing,
as someone who's done mosaics in the past, that is a bad idea.
That's not the first. Yeah, I wouldn't do that as a first bathroom. Also, think carefully about the size of the grout line that you're putting in, because sometimes you get those spacers and you don't realize. Okay, it's a fine line though. I don't like a lot of grout, but however, if it's too small of a line, the grout's going to pop out, especially on the floor. Like you have to have, I would recommend a quarter inch, not a quarter inch, maybe.
Well, they make an actual bathroom spacer.
Well, they
which
make
is
a few
pretty
different
much perfect.
sizes.
Right.
So yeah, but we didn't hear what tile size they want to do or whatever.
Well, that depends on, are they doing 16-inch tiles, 12? They're doing subway tile? Are they going to get down in there with the little Pika stuff and do 1-inch tile? I mean, depends on your pain level.
And honestly, that's one of the things that may be intimidating Mario and his wife is the fact that you've got all these different options. They're not sure where to start.
Yeah, and one other thing, because they said they watch videos. Be selective in the videos you watch. If somebody gets on there and they're a know-it-all and they're using all these big fancy words, or if the video's 25 minutes long, just skip that. And then if it's Chuck in his truck going, well, I do that, I would be very selective.
I got some construction adhesive and just stuck it down there.
I will say some of the big box stores make some good videos. They do. And they're usually about 8 minutes long. They're pretty concise, and so I would follow those for sure.
And check with your local big box store. Sometimes they do tutorials,
right?
And they have Saturday classes.
Yes,
yeah. Somebody will help you, but Mario, we salute you, and it is.
We need some pictures. I want some pictures on this project.
Well, also, I think it's the psychological. It's that psychological component, because it's like burning the bridge, burning the boats at Cortez. Once you do, man.
Oh yeah,
it's gone.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is, has he ever uninstalled and reinstalled a toilet?
We mentioned that because that's sort of an important component.
Yeah. That's kind of the big
because they are going to be
centerpiece.
pulling the toilet out.
They're going to pull the toilet. So, Mario, let me throw in one more task for you.
Yeah.
If you've never pulled or reseated a toilet, you got some more videos to watch.
Right.
It's not hard. It really isn't. Putting in a toilet really is not difficult. It's just heavy and it's uncomfortable.
Hold on, Allan, though. It isn't hard. But I guarantee, and I promise, I made this mistake.
Right.
When the biggest mistake I think first time DIY people do is they over tighten those two bolts on the floor.
Yeah,
I did it the first time and I cracked the.
Yep.
And once it's cracked, you're done. You got to go buy another
broke the toilet.
And it's all just because you got a little overzealous. So when you set the toilet down on that wax ring,
level and firm.
Very careful. Let's just throw one more thing in there too, because get the right kind of tile cutter. I would say this is a time to go ahead and buy the kind that you score the edge and then you can snap it. But also, it's really inexpensive to just rent a wet tile saw for the job. You can get them for like $25 a day or something, and those things cut great. So I would get one of those. So.
But make sure you understand back spray.
Yeah. Yeah, don't put it in your living room and set it up.
I actually walked in a project one time, and they had set this thing up in the middle of the floor and couldn't understand why there was this gray, funky mist over the entire job site.
Right.
Back spray on those things is amazing. So make sure you can put it out the back door.
Okay. Yeah, I think those are all good tips too, because boy, tile, there's a lot of dynamics at play.
But it looks so good when you get it right.
And when you get, I'll say this: if you can tile something, there's a lot of things you can do after that. You know, building a fence and everything else will be a cakewalk.
Everything else is cakewalk.
But do it right, and like I said, check the check videos and find the right videos and get the right assistance.
Oh yeah.
So. You're gonna cut your hands, so just be ready for that.
It's gonna
get the Band-Aids ready. All right, well, guys, boy, we got a lot of mileage out of that one. We got a lot to get to in the next segment. So you're listening to Tool Talk Radio here at News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. We're gonna take a quick break and then talk about Allan's experience with a 1920s floor furnace.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
I'm always thinking one step ahead, like a carpenter that makes stairs.
News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
I've seen those kind of guys. Stay away from that job site, man. Anyway, welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com. Our pal Max over there behind the glass, and guest hosting today, our buddy Brandon Olmsted from Geek Tank Radio. And the reason is of course because it's Halloween season.
Yeah,
and Brandon, you're no hack when it comes to the DIY. You're a homeowner.
Yeah,
you do a lot of work, so you've got valuable insight. But especially when it comes time for Halloween, because you outshine all of us. Well, the truth, it's not hard to outshine me. I don't really do much, but you and Allan, this is your favorite season, and you come up with some pretty creative stuff.
I've always felt that your favorite part of Halloween, Joe, was probably inspecting the kids' bags. You might find some razor blades you can use later on. You might find some screwdrivers here and there.
So we got Brandon here to weigh in on the Halloween hacks in a minute. So, but we went a little long with our advice, but we get very emotional when it comes to tile. So we had a listener request asking for some tile advice, and boy, we were vomiting out all the advice. Man.
You've got to be detailed, because tile is a very crucial job. No matter whether you're removing it, laying it, whatever. If you don't pay attention, you end up shredded. We talk about Halloween hacks. Tile will really hack you.
Yeah, and plus the thing about it is, if you mess it up, it's very noticeable. If it's crooked, if it's not glued down correctly, if you got chips, it's just it's something to pay attention to.
It's so beautiful when it's right, and it is so obvious when it's wrong.
Yeah. So, well, speaking of things that are wrong, Allan, you really you were very fired up, and we thought this was worthy of a discussion because. I don't know if you're familiar with these, Brandon, but there's a type of floor furnace that used to be in the floor, and my mom lived in a place that had one of these, so I got very familiar with these. So
I will let you know that all the cousins and everything that are around my age in my family, we all have scars and burns because my great grandmother had a floor furnace.
Oh man!
It's dangerous.
So Allan, what were you doing? How did you get involved with this week? So
always
no, please allow me.
Looks like a loose nail.
Okay. Yeah, 1 out of 25 ain't bad.
I feel like there is some.
You don't have any code violations, do you?
Nope. How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man? What do you think of the house that Love built? Oh, shoot.
I mean, I'm sure the person that designed the floor furnace was trying to build with love, but I don't know.
I'm pretty sure they hated people.
Allan, describe what a floor furnace is, because there's probably people realistically that have never seen or heard of one.
There were 2 ways as we hit the 1900s that we decided we were going to kill ourselves.
Okay.
And one of them was radiated heat.
Well, we know you were there.
Yeah, well, let me tell you.
Wait, I thought radiators were kind of safe.
Until you touched one.
Oh, yeah. That's a good point. Okay.
And then you melted.
Yeah.
And, the radiated heat was a great idea because now we could pump boiling hot oil or water through pipes into a device in your home that would actually warm the room. The problem is, if you touched it, you left a big part of your skin on it. Okay.
Well, you could put the skillet on there and cook breakfast, Allan.
And yes, well, that was more for your buildings.
Right.
But also, and believe it or not, suburbia was beginning pre-World War I.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, just as an aside, but I was Googling floor furnace, and I literally found an article that says woman cooks on floor furnace.
Yes.
Gosh.
Yes, you are not kidding.
All right.
Because we began the elevated floor, a.k.a. your house had a crawl space underneath it.
Yeah, you have about a 3-foot gap of dirt and everything. And then,
dirt, cats, bugs, bears, whatever, depending upon the part of the world you live in.
Okay,
so the idea was we got all this room, and we began using pressurized gas. So now you had the
Brandon, keep your mouth
gas
shut.
company.
Okay. Yeah.
It's not my fault you're still 12 years old, Joe.
Okay.
And now the gas company began running gas lines out to the homes, and you had what we would look at as a about 1920s style floor furnace. Now, this thing had a metal grate that went in the floor because, of course, nobody in your house would ever walk around without their shoes on.
Yeah.
And basically, if you stepped on this thing barefooted in the summer, it was like walking on razor blades.
They're pretty sharp.
Yes, Brandon's just having this moment. The eyes are just killing me.
It's like, there's, especially when you're a little kid.
Oh.
And your toe can get between those grates.
Oh, yeah.
You can tear that thing clear off.
Well, and the other thing, too, Allan, is if that grate gets shoved out of place or something and somebody steps in one end, and then it's a Three Stooges thing. You suddenly
all the way down.
Step in and it whacks you in the head as you go down. So, yeah.
So underneath there is basically a baffle.
Mm-hmm.
There is a heating chamber. And at the bottom of it, so that you have to use a 9-foot-long match, is the pilot light.
Right.
Connected to the pilot light is the only piece of technology in this, and that is the thermal coupler. And all the thermal coupler did was, so long as the pilot light was warm, so long as it's maintained a certain temperature, it kept the gas line open.
Right.
And when you had a little control that upped the gas, then it would allow more gas in, and the thing would ignite. And basically, you had an oven in your floor.
Right.
Right.
Right next to your carpet and next to your
usually
wall,
in the middle of the living room.
Yeah.
Your sofa was right there.
Yeah. Oh, it just would.
So you couldn't get to the couch without stepping over this thing.
Oh yeah. So welcome to this. Now, these things had to be maintained. They had to be taken care of. Now, here in Memphis, we're an older city. For the United States, I know for those of you listening to us around the world, you're going, you guys don't know old. My house is older than your whole country. That's true. That's true. But Memphis is an older city. We've been around a while. So we've got a number of homes that still have these things.
Yeah.
And some of them still work.
Right.
So here we are.
Well, they give off heat. I'm not arguing
they give
with that
off
part,
heat.
But
they will heat a house in seconds flat.
Right.
They can cook a turkey.
However, you got to maintain these things. In the summer, put a rug over it. Don't let the cat hair and the dog hair and the human hair and the skin and all that fall down in it. And underneath, Lord only knows what's nested in it.
Well,
because everybody's moved in, the leaves, the debris, the cat, the whatever. And of course, these things rust. There's a lot of maintenance.
It's just a bad
to these
design.
things.
You don't put stuff in a floor because like you said, you sweep the floor. A bunch of it goes in there. It piles up over the years. It rusts. Water gets in. I don't know. I hate them.
So, bless our hearts. The lucky volunteer is working from underneath the house, and you hear the banging and the scraping and the scrubbing, and he's down there with the wire brush trying to get all the debris off of it and the wasp nest and everything. Well, and you finally get it adjusted and you get it to turn on. And, of course, this thing's been down there so long. The minute you get it to work, Joe, something else 10 minutes later is going to break.
Well, and you're dealing with gas. Well, that was my question.
And gas pressure.
You didn't even get to why you were dealing with it. Were you ripping the thing out or were you fixing it?
No, we were trying to get it to work.
I think I'd go buy a space heater, man, and call it a day.
Just dump a bunch of charcoal in it. It'll work.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, so did you get it
It's
working?
the same principle.
Well, we did for about 10, 15 minutes, and then the thermocoupler went and died. So we got to go back today and put a new thermocoupler in it.
This is a good question. How much money and how much effort do you even invest in something that's a totally obsolete technology? Like, what's the point?
Joe, you would be shocked at how many homes still have these things working.
I don't know, man.
But those were well maintained. Apparently, the one you were working on had not been.
Well, not for the last few years, apparently. Yeah. So, but even if it was, somebody got under there every single year and cleaned it and took care of it and all that kind of stuff, you're still talking 1920s technology.
Huh?
We are talking about the Wayback Machine, but welcome to our jobs. I mean, we never know what we're getting into when you open something up and look in there and go, wow, all right, here we go. So, yeah, if you've got one of these things, really seriously consider moving on. A nice floor patch with a beveled edge. That way you're not killing yourself on that grate anymore. And
I just think it's an accident. I'd get rid of it, honestly.
Oh, these things are just horrible. So
all right. Well, hey, if you've ever had an adventure with a floor furnace, or if you've got, I don't know,
just send us your horror stories.
Send those to, you can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline, 901-683-0989. And send pictures
and honestly,
of the scars.
If you send us one that can make Joe cringe.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right. Now, who would never deal with a technology like this? They only deal with state-of-the-art, cutting-edge technology when it comes to HVAC.
Yeah, if you got one of these things, call these people.
Yeah, exactly. This is the person to call. Call our good buddy Larry Brown with Brown Refrigeration, because really, I will say this. Heating technology, every 20 years or so, there's a leap and there's an advancement. And a furnace, even from 30 years ago, is nothing like what we're dealing with today. They're so much more efficient. They're more streamlined.
Yes,
they're smart. You can tap it. You can access it with your phone.
They'll drop your utility bill.
Oh, they do, and that's what's great about it. It's so. What Larry Brown with Brown Refrigeration deals with, so they deal with Train systems, which are the top of the line, HVAC systems. Mm-hmm. They have the Remy Halo system, because not only are the Train systems efficient, but when you put the Remy Halo system inside, it has the UV power of the sun. It gives off cleaning particulates, so every bit of air that's coming out is clean, and everything it lands on, it cleans the surface. I mean,
I gotta
think of that.
I gotta ask Larry next time how well that thing stands up to tile dust.
No, I don't know about the okay. Now dust is, but we're talking about
tile
germs.
Dust is inert,
microbes.
Yeah, you say that until it gets inside you and starts growing.
You know what you do there? You call Larry and you have him do a duct cleaning for your house,
yes,
Brandon. That's the other thing they do, and then you can control it all.
I hope you're listening, Mario.
Yeah, you can control it all with the smart home system, and it's just they have a great business culture over there. Let's face it, people have HVAC emergencies, and we've called him on those situations, and people answer the phone, which is something you need.
I have.
Yeah. So when you're dealing with and we also want you to think of it in terms of a lifelong relationship as well, because like we said, when you find a good auto mechanic, you keep your car maintained and you stay with that mechanic because they're trustworthy and they're good to deal with, and they have the right kind of business culture. So that's what you get with Larry Brown with Brown Refrigeration. So call them directly. You can call 901-362-1881 or go to their very easy to remember website, brownref.com. Actually, go to their Facebook page too. They're fairly active. Who would think an HVAC company would have an interesting Facebook page, but they do.
They have their terrible things we found on site section, which is hilarious.
There you go. So, all right. Well, guys, it's Halloween.
It is.
It is.
Yeah. So I turn the floor over to you because it's Halloween.
We're
what are we calling this? Hacks or DIY?
Check that
or
breaker
whatever.
box.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if calling it Halloween Hacks is really a good idea. That sounds more like a serial killer movie, Joe.
Oh, good point. Well, it's a double entendre. That's
Well, that's okay. The Grinch will be chopping his way into theaters here shortly.
Okay.
Well, we don't want to talk about the mean one.
Brandon, you always put on a good display in your front yard, and it's never the same twice.
Well, The past few years, we've kind of kept the same centralized theme of just our own, yard cemetery, but it gets bigger every year. But what has really been amazing this year is that while also decorating our yard, we are preparing for this big Halloween party that we're helping someone throw.
Oh yeah,
and that led to tombstone building, which I would have never really thought about this. This was all Amy. My wife, she's
very creative.
She loves to make it look authentic.
Yeah.
And she went and got a bunch of wood and carved out tombstones. I think it was any excuse to use a sawzall and a jigsaw.
Yeah.
She's a big fan of anything that cuts. But she was able to do these. It's just out of, I would say, she got. It's just scrap wood that somebody was throwing out, and she's designed these tombstones that are just amazing. They've got metal spikes in the bottom, so they'll easily go into your yard. They've got the rounded edges. She sanded everything down. She sealed it, and then she decorated each one to do one of the creators, one of the classic monsters.
Yeah.
Like,
awesome.
We've got Bram Stoker. We got Mary Shelley. We've got Ralph Ellison, who created The Invisible Man, and that one was the one she was like, all right, she wanted to give it a really good thing, so she gets the paints out, and she did a pale paint over the seal on the wood, and normally you don't do this with wood, but it's a decoration for she did a luminescent paint on the wood, but then she outlined it in a dark gray.
Okay,
so when you're not paying attention in the dark, you only see where it's reflecting off of the edge of that gray paint.
You just triggered me, Brandon, because that's one of the keys. Because we've seen some of these decorations. I would call these Halloween fails. They have these really great looking tombstones, or they have these great looking designs, but they don't light it correctly.
Right.
People are going to be seeing this stuff at night.
Right.
She's got these luminescent accents to which is great.
And
that's the important thing. Lighting is a big deal.
That's always been one of our biggest, pet peeves when we look at someone else's display. It's like, it looks great during the daytime when you go past it, but then when you go by later on,
right?
It's like their porch lights on, which backlights all this stuff, but you can't see the detail.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Amy has these skulls that have tea lights in them, and she will light every one of those tea lights on the 2 nights before and the night of Halloween.
Yeah.
But we have flickering LEDs in all of our light posts, so it's like, looks like gaslight, lanterns. And then she has all these, she has this setup which is coals made out of insulation foam, but they have red and orange LEDs embedded in them that are on a pulse timer, so it looks like the coals are actually lit.
Wait, insulation? Are you talking about
that
expanding foam?
That expanding foam, yeah.
What happened? I'm curious about that, Brandon. Not to sidetrack, but that expanding foam. How does that hold up after about a week being out in the sun? It can get dry and crispy.
Well, it does, but when you're
you coat it,
when you're going for that look,
yeah.
you kind of want it to look, like it's kind of dried out.
Okay.
Plus, the more it dries out, the more solid it gets.
Yeah.
You can still see the lights through it fine, but it's like if somebody comes and tries to kick them over, they might break their toe. Because whatever you connect them, whatever you use it on, it will fill in gaps in the porous surface, so it will not come loose.
Yeah, that stuff.
She did.
Well, I know Allan loves that stuff.
She did these coals on a half pallet,
right?
And with it, she had spray painted black, and then so it, that thing just goes up in our rafters in our shed during the year, and then she just pulls it back down.
That's amazing.
Have you ever worked with that? My favorite stuff in terms of just versatility is you go to the big box store, and I think it has the Pink Panther on it, and it's like, 2 inches thick.
Oh.
It's like a foam insulation that...
the Owens Corning stuff.
And you can cut it with a hacksaw blade, right? And that stuff,
you can cut it with a hacksaw, but if you really want to get in the details and everything and do one just right... have you ever used a cutting wire, a heated cutting wire?
Oh, heated. That's a good idea.
It'll get into that foam, and it'll almost kind of give it a seal. Now afterwards, of course, it's really good if you want to, depending on how you want it. If you really want it to look like a genuine concrete or marble tombstone, Quickcrete is actually really good. Just thin it out a little more so it's easily malleable. But there's also Monster Mud. Monster Mud's amazing, but I actually
What's Monster Mud?
It's kind of a ceramic sealant.
Where do you get that?
Well, you kind of have to order it online. You're not going to find it at the Home Depot, but you can. There are also recipes to make your own.
Okay.
But one of the things I like to use with stuff like that, especially to get in the crevices for when you got your carvings, is Plasti Dip. Because it'll seal it just right so that if it won't be water damaged, you won't have to worry about a whole lot of grime or anything inside of it. And of course, you can get Plasti Dip in either your little gallon
cans,
container, your little cans, or you can get it in a spray.
Yeah.
Okay, but can you paint over that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you can.
Because some of that shellacky kind of stuff, it's hard to paint over.
See, we use a lot. I first started using Plasti Dip when I was doing EVA foam props.
Yeah.
Like Amy did a bunch of witches hats. I did a few like cemetery tools.
Right.
Like a shovel, which I will say that you got to make sure you put this stuff down because my shovel was stolen a couple years ago. I just never have gone back and made a new one.
Oh yeah.
But it's it's very versatile. It stands up to the weather and the elements. But last year we made, and Joe helped out a lot on this one, and I made a candy coffin.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, and I'm horrified that you stuck that thing outside, man, because that took hours to make. So, but yeah.
And the thing is that it is still standing up. It's perfect. We took it all apart. I've got it set up to go back out next weekend. It stood up to the elements because it was a sealed art wood. It was a craft wood. It wasn't something you would use to like do your fences or new shutters on your house. But all I needed to do was give it a little bit of a weathering look, which Amy did with a sealer stain, and it got into those crevices and it stood up to the weather really well.
Okay. Where do you stand on inflatable designs? Inflatable displays.
Okay, inflatables are great as long as you have a good outdoor power source.
Bingo.
I don't. Don't. My lights are all either battery operated or solar, except for of course my porch light and the light out in my yard. Those are wired. But if you've got a good power source, inflatables are fun, especially if you've got kids, because they can help get everything set up, and just the way a child's face lights up when they get to go hit the pump to inflate those things, because they know that they help too. Allan will tell you the same thing about cooking one day when we're doing a cooking show again, but it's just depending on what you get. Now I don't suggest going and getting a ton of them.
Well,
because
here was the reason I asked Brandon is because of this job I'm at. I've been on this job forever down in Midtown. Well, she's got about 5 inflatables, and some of them look great. And then there's one, if you get even the slightest breeze, it like bends sideways and it looks odd. And maybe it's too tall. Maybe it's a weird configuration. So I guess you got to think about those things too. It's like
I will tell you, it's like if you get one like the one that I see a lot that's usually warped and out of shape is a Jack Skellington because of how thin he is.
They're thin and tall, yeah.
Right.
You want to make sure.
What you need to do is put up this where fishing line becomes your best friend.
Oh,
and you need to build kind of an invisible support web behind him to keep him more or less where you want him.
What's a really good way of doing that is if you want to put him out where he's freestanding, put him between 2 trees that you've got. Mm-hmm. Run one line across from tree to tree, connect him in at least 3 places.
Yeah.
From him to that line, and then one more that goes from his back to wherever you've got the pump at.
Have you ever dealt with these? I've been seeing these lately at the big box store. You see, literally, it's like a 15-foot tall skeleton or something. I assume it comes apart. But,
it does.
Then you got to store it the rest of the year. Do you deal with that stuff?
So there was a moment I used to want one of these things from the moment they said, "All right, look, Brandon, you need a giant skeleton." I was like, "Yes, I need a giant skeleton." And then I saw how many pieces it comes in,
right,
and how you have to get up on a ladder to put it together, and then how you have to power it because they are electronic. They have light up eyes and everything.
Yep.
It's not worth the hassle to put it together. It's not worth the hassle to store it.
The storage is the part. If you got a massive shed and that's what you live for, go for it.
Now, I don't say, if you've got the space to store it and you got the patience to take it apart and put it back together, I know that there's a house in Bartlett that has 3 of those and one of the giant, flaming pumpkin monsters. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, that would be awesome if I had patience.
Yeah.
Joe, you've seen me when we're breaking down promotional, and everything.
You're ready to go.
I'm just like, let's leave it. We'll buy a new one.
I'm done.
Yeah. Well,
we don't want to do that with a $300 skeleton.
We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you got any good Halloween stories or Halloween hacks, feel free to weigh in at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline, 901-683-0989. Well, the first hour of Tool Talk Radio is in the can, but stand by. We got a great second hour coming up, and we're going to kick it off with great moments in building history, the haunted Winchester House.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis. Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
And welcome to Hour 2 of Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com, our pal Max over there behind the glass, and our guest host today, Brandon Olmsted from Geek Tank Radio, because you would have to you'd have to bar the doors, you would have to barricade the studio to keep him out of here when we're a week out of from Halloween.
Absolutely.
I mean, and hey, Halloween hacks is a legitimate home. It's part of your home.
Yeah,
it's a big thing.
And there's no better expert than Brandon Olmsted.
And don't worry, I will be back when it's time to talk about the Christmas ones too.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but your Christmas ones are, they're a little off theme. They leave a little bit to be desired. So they whatever. We'll see.
They're very festive.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good word. Yeah.
If you want to chime in today, you can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. And I would remind you, you can call or text, and you can also send pictures. If you've got some great, if you're really proud of your Halloween display, send those over, and you can send them any day of the week.
I'm going to use my my position with the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention.
Okay.
If you send us your pictures of your decorated Halloween house, and I will choose my personal favorite and give you 2 passes to the Piranha Room Saturday night at the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention.
Okay.
Because if you've got a good Halloween display, I got a feeling you're going to like a night of 80s goth music and art.
Well, we should. Okay, Brandon, you laid it on the table, and we don't do this very often because only when it's that certain time of year. But we are less than a month away from the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention, which we also run. Which it's a little we're talking tools and stuff on the show here, but we deal in geekdom, and it's.
I think with the crafting you put into the things like the Piranha Room, it belongs here.
Yes.
Okay, boys, enough shameless advertisements.
Yeah. But check it out. Go to Memphis CFC. It's going to be November 18th through 20th at the Memphis Marriott East. It's a lot of fun, and you're really going to enjoy it. It's a great family event, too. So, all right. But, guys, in a minute, we're going to get to our great moments in building history. But let's just knock this out because this is a fairly quick one. We have our must-have item of the week. And, Al, this is, nothing complicated here. Tell people what I'm holding up.
You are holding up the Mercedes of lunch bags that I have ever seen.
I'll give you that. It caught my attention. If you go to our Facebook page, go to Tool Talk Radio on Facebook, I posted a picture of a lunchbox I bought about 5 months ago because just like Old Blue, my lunchbox was about 20 years old. It was ripped. The zipper didn't work anymore. Yeah. It was not insulating. And I'm like, okay, it's time to let that one go. Yep. So I got this, and what I like about this, it's a Titan lunchbox. It's insulated. It's got the little, I want to say plastic tub inside. So if you want, you could throw ice in there. You could throw. Mm-hmm. I just keep my snacks and everything, and I'll throw an ice pack in there.
They call
it stays cold all day.
The Titan Deep Freeze.
It is. It's a great one, and it's got a very. It doesn't have a zipper. It's got this little seal. You lift the top, and then the friction kind of holds it together. But Brandon made a good point. You can remove the tub and run it through your dishwasher.
I think that we all need one of these for whenever we're on location during the summer.
Yeah.
Oh, that thing, I got to tell you, that is like the up end.
Yeah.
If you have one of these, now this thing that gets me is it's like a cargo pants. This thing's got pockets.
That's why I got it.
Around this thing, you got storage for days.
I got my Band-Aids on the side because those get used frequently, and I got it's perfect, and It's like we say, it only takes a little more to go first class. I could have chosen the $20 one or the $30 option. And, of course, this one, it's so much better for the extra few bucks. So, but the thing is, on a job site, I've seen this. I've seen people. I'm like, why is your sandwich sitting on your dashboard? And why is your, what? It's like,
are they trying to melt? Are they trying to melt the cheese?
I don't know, man. It's like, why not keep your food and just keep your snack? And plus, if you're on a job site and you've got a supply of snacks, you need your fuel while you're working. So it's just an important
there's
thing.
that old quote, wars are won on full stomachs.
Mm-hmm. Bingo. Yeah. It's all these little details that if you this is just, I would call it a lifestyle improvement. And I use this lunchbox every day. So I figured it's worthy of a must-have item.
Yeah, that's
salute, man.
It's definitely an awesome lunchbox. I might have to look into getting one of those.
Yeah. I can show you.
Can you
where
imagine
I got it.
keeping the water in there when we go hang out with the pets?
Exactly. No, this is great. You'll love it, Brandon. So, all right, in a minute we're going to get to our great moments in building history. Before I get to that, you know who I bet has a killer lunchbox? Our good buddy Jay Hill with Big M Roofing and Remodeling.
He needs one.
He's got to keep these guys hydrated, because when they show up for a job, if they're putting a new roof on, this isn't one of these deals where he says we're going to be here all week, and they're there in one day, generally speaking, unless you just have a gigantic roof. They get in, they get the roof off, and they get it, get the new one on, and they're done. So they got to stay hydrated. But if you have any roofing issues, there's no better person to call than our good buddy Jay Hill with Big M Roofing and Remodeling. For one thing, he is a GAF Master Elite Installer. He's 5 stars with the Better Business Bureau, 5 stars with Good Housekeeping, and GAF is the company you want to be involved with. That's the products they use, because they're always at the cutting edge of technology, including, I guarantee, Allan, it's not going to be very long before we're going to regularly be talking about the solar shingles, which are coming. Oh, yeah. They're on the way. Oh, yeah. And GAF is developing those. So.
And honestly, Jay's just a class act all the way around. He's not one of these guys.
He's fun, too.
He really is. And he's not one of these guys who will jerk you around. I mean, he'll get in there, he'll get the estimate, and he'll have you ready and set up to go within a few minutes of having the roof inspected.
Absolutely, and all three of us have benefited, because all three of us had our roof replaced.
We all have Big M roofs.
Yeah, and so if you have any roofing issues, especially if you have issues where you're on the fence going, I wonder if this is covered by my homeowner's insurance, because there's a big difference between paying for the whole roof yourself or having it covered, which is why we have insurance, folks, because this is the kind of, Jay Hill is a former insurance agent, and he knows all of the protocols, and he stays up to date on all of them, and plus he knows everybody in town.
It's true.
It's like, and Allan has said this before, that when you're on the on a site and the insurance agent shows up and they start talking and you're just looking at them like, what are, they're using all these phrases that it's not even.
They talk insurance language.
Right.
You don't talk insurance language.
Right.
They're talking, you need an SR92 and the 399 has happened. And you know what? You just are so happy you have somebody that spoke that language on your side.
And what's really great is that Jay will then turn around and explain to you what it was in our common terms.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like going to another country where they talk and then they translate.
And then somebody turns and goes, let me tell you what's going to happen. Here you go.
Right. But he gets it done. And the thing is, all of this expertise is free. You just, if you're not sure, if you need a consultation, just get Jay over there. He will get you on the right track. And if you don't qualify with your homeowner's insurance, the other good thing is they have financing to meet everybody's needs. He's got relationships with 30 different companies. I want to say these days, it honestly, I think you can be qualified within minutes. They'll sit there, you type in the information, and one of probably 3 or 4 or maybe more of those lenders you'll qualify, and then you can pick and choose the terms that work best for you. So
working with Jay Hill is the most painless home improvement thing you'll ever do.
It is, and it's one of the most important. I mean, what's more important than our roof? So, but also, he is also big into remodeling. He can probably handle any remodeling project that you've got. So there's no reason not to call. Get it? I got to say something. That's a double negative, isn't it? Just call Jay Hill.
Just give him a call.
Okay. You can call him directly at 901-484-5645 or go to bigmroofingandremodeling.com. All right, Max, here we go.
And now, great moments in building history.
Brandon, we'd value your opinion. We've been we've been hunting, we've been doing detective work. Nobody will tell us who that mysterious voice is on the intro The audio just showed up here one week, and we've been using it, but I don't know.
I'll tell you, I have a theory, but until I have evidence, I'm not going to go with it.
All right. Well, anyway.
But it reminds me of something from years ago.
Okay. Anyway, well, here we go, Alan. The Winchester. I feel like not everybody knows. I didn't know what the Winchester home was till I met you. So
this is on my bucket list.
Maybe at least an overview. Oh yeah.
Okay. All right.
Brandon needs to vacation at this place.
We're so going, Brandon.
He needs to own it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You know what? If I. Yeah, I'd live there.
If you win the lottery, Brandon's buying the Winchester house.
Well, yeah. All right. Well, let's go to New Haven, Connecticut, and let's meet a nice gentleman by the name of William Wirt Winchester. As you can tell by his last name, what he's famous for.
Well,
Winchester Repeating Arms. Yes, indeed. Winchester Repeating Arms. And he married a lovely lady by the name of Sarah Lockwood Pardee. And they lived very happily and rather profitably for a little while. And then...
Rather profitably? The guy was like a... Yeah. He made some money.
He was making some money.
He was selling guns in the Wild West, Alan. Let's not undersell this.
Well, to break up their happiness, just a few years later, they had a baby who passed away of a childhood illness.
Right.
So, kind of a dour hit the family. And then just a couple of years after that, tuberculosis swept through the area. And Mr. Winchester passed away.
He was only like 40-something.
Yeah.
He was pretty young.
These are not old people. These are people that were in the prime of their life. So now Miss Winchester, who is now distraught and had enough, said, forget it. I'm out of here. I'm going to San Jose, California. She got
as far away from Connecticut as you can get.
She almost, if you draw a line, got as far as you can physically get.
Right.
So she moves to San Jose, California, and she purchased I'm not going to say modest, but I'm going to say very nice 8-room farmhouse.
Oh, I didn't know. It was only 8 rooms?
It was an 8-room farmhouse. To begin with, yes. It had a very classic for the time entrance. It is really, when you look at it, you go, it really looks like one of those complicated doll houses.
Yeah.
That's really, somebody. A little bit of frilly someone like Brandon really went after the details on this. Mm-hmm. So you see why she bought it. It's adorable.
Yeah.
But after she moved in, she still was having problems. And this is where we're going to start the mystery.
Wait, I'm sorry, Alan, but you do this on purpose. She had problems. She was freaking out because you said that she was haunted by the notion
I'm about to say
good.
that.
Yeah, don't undersell this stuff, Alan. There's a backstory here.
Quick draw. Give me 30 seconds here.
Okay.
So, but this is where the mystery comes in because now we have the legends.
Okay.
Because one of the things that she was kind of fond of in that era was going to see psychics.
That was big back then.
That
Houdini
was a big
all those guys did that.
The whole spiritualist movement.
Yeah.
So everybody who was anybody went to see somebody in the spiritualist movement. And one of the big legends is that all of this tragedy was that the Winchesters were being haunted by the ghost of all those felled by the Winchester repeater. Translation, the gun that won the West.
It's tragic, but how is there not a Hollywood movie about this? Because this is fascinating.
There is.
There's several.
It's about Helen Mirren plays Sarah Winchester.
Oh, I need to see that because that premise is fascinating.
You really do.
Yeah. It's also rumored that she had also suffered severe fevers back when the child was ill and when the husband was ill.
Yeah.
And in those days, medicine wasn't exactly what we got today.
Yeah.
So did she have some mental issues? Did she have some brain damage? Did she see psychics?
Yeah.
Sorry, that makes me think of Ivan the Terrible, how in order to treat his illness back in the day, he drank mercury.
Yes.
People did
here
weird
we go.
things. Yeah.
So basically, she launched what can now be referred to as the world's longest DIY.
It never really ended. Yeah.
So she hired a crew. And it was, I think, somewhere around nine men, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 9 guys. And she began, expanding the house.
Yeah.
And at first, it made sense because they had plenty of land and lots of room.
They had a lot. I want to say they had like 80 acres, and then they turned it. No, 40 acres. So she wasn't hurting for land,
Right. So the construction actually never ceased.
Right.
They were constantly in construction. They began in 1886 and continued working until 1922.
Okay, go ahead, Allan.
So,
I'm just racking up all my questions and stuff.
So
go ahead.
from an 8-room farmhouse, we're going to wind up. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
You got your pencil ready?
Yeah.
We're going to wind up at 24,000 square feet with over 10,000 windows, with over 2,000 doors, over 160 rooms, 52 skylights, 47 stairways and fireplaces, 17 chimneys, 13 bathrooms, and 6 kitchens.
Question, Allan, because the thing that caught my attention, more than any of it, what caught my attention was the 2,000 doors. Are they, even if you're talking cabinet doors? Holy,
No.
That's a lot of doors.
Hallways and doors.
No,
Just
come on.
Doors. No, you go down a hallway, you open a door, and you're at a wall.
Okay.
You go down another hallway, you open a door, you're on the outside of the building.
Yeah.
You go down another hallway, you open a... So
Joe,
basically...
you remember in Scooby-Doo, you'd always get that montage where they're running from the monster, and they go in one door and they go out the other and everything, and it's all in one hallway? That's the Winchester
their
House.
doors in those days. That's true. So, okay.
This is where the great legend of she built this incredible structure basically so that spirits couldn't find her.
Well,
right.
They would
Isn't it debated? Like, has it ever been? I think there's a lot of reasons people do this. For one thing, I mean, she's still entertained. She still tried to have a life, but some people, I've worked for these people. They don't. She didn't have the HGT TV station back then.
No.
But you just got to be doing something to your house. They're always wanting, which is great for people like us, But some people just want to always be expanding. But the nature of the expansion is what's weird.
And the fact that it is just such a bizarre expansion because it doesn't necessarily have to make sense. It's almost the Willy Wonka of construction.
It just sort of goes like, here, there's an empty space over there. Go build a ballroom.
My favorite one is the stairway to the ceiling.
Right. Yeah.
My favorite one is you go down a long hallway, you make a turn, and you begin a set of stairs. And the stairs, honestly, are nice, long, sloping stairs, but the ceiling doesn't go up.
Right.
So as you go up, the ceiling is...
Yeah, you're done.
The stairs go all the way into the edge, all the way up.
Yep.
Boom. And that's actually ceiling. There's actually a room above there.
Right.
But they're not connected.
Yeah.
So,
Well, Al, one other thing I saw on this that's interesting because it shows the point of view of Sarah Winchester, and it's basically she had this one room. I don't know if it was in her bedroom or not, but it was a safe. It was like a safe, and then you go behind it, and there's another safe, and whatever. It's like the ultimate security of protecting whatever valuables are inside, and when you get in there, it's like a lock of her baby's hair. It's the death certificate for her husband. It's just a couple of random personal items
that were most precious to her,
which speaks a lot to her mindset and everything.
It does, and basically she spent. You talk about this. She spent over $5 million over this time period. In today's money, that's like $70 million.
Well, because we were looking at I looked at a video that was showing. Okay, in terms of today's money, I don't know what she inherited basically the equivalent of like $500 million, and she had a monthly income from Winchester that was still coming in, which was like I want to say she made like $1,000 a day, which I don't even know what that is back then. But she is not hurting for money at all.
It's called a lot of money, Joe. Yeah.
Yeah. But what's
it's more than we make.
But here's the thing. This is why I wonder. I don't. And so some people have said, okay, this lady was just out of her mind. She was. No, I don't think it was that. I think she was tormented. And but also the spiritualist movement, I think, is at the heart of this. But however, there's another thing. She was always at the cutting edge of any new technology. She had like a communication system.
Yes.
Right. Didn't you look into some of that stuff, Max?
I did. And not only that, but she was also very courteous to her servants, or had a lot of stuff with the servants in mind. For example, there was these little things at the corner of like her stairwells that made the corners of the stairways easy to clean. And then every fireplace had this like chute that would go all the way down to the basement and connect there in order to make all the ashes much more easy to clean. She had very advanced pipelines in order to like water her garden and everything. And like she also had hoses, which were an innovation back then. But the thing that spoke to me was the fact that she was also influenced by the Japanese in terms of some of her aesthetic style.
Yeah.
She kind of had a lot of aesthetics, but the Japanese seem to be a sort of...
Well, she's in San Jose.
Right.
And this is just right after the railway boom. So she already knew a Chinese community. And so this all continues up until word was whispered through the house that Miss Winchester had passed.
Right. Yeah.
And at that time, all of the workmen just laid down their tools where they were.
And walked away.
And walked down to the front. And that's where it stopped. And to this day, where they stopped, the tools and lunch boxes and stuff still sit.
I was about to ask you that. That's cool. And today there's tours.
Is amazing.
I don't even know how many millions
so many
of people.
tours.
They say I want to say it was some
12 million a year.
Yeah, some crazy number. That's interesting. 24,000 square feet. I don't even know how you see the whole place in one.
That's a lot of house.
But folks, go down that rabbit hole. You won't be disappointed. Just
look up the Winchester Mystery House.
Absolutely. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio here at News Talk 98.9 The Roar Memphis. I don't know if this is spooky or not, but when we come back, we're going to talk about how radiant gas is going to kill you.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
The likelihood of you dying violently within the next 5 minutes is 87.61%. You are about to get me killed. We will both die because of your negligence.
News Talk 98.9 The Roar of Memphis.
That sounds like Joe's virtual tour guide for the Winchester House.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's the disclaimer you get when you show up on Allan's job site. So, anyway, welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from DarkOakMedia.com, our pal Max over there behind the glass. And guest hosting this week is our good buddy Brandon Olmsted from Geek Tank Radio, who, it wasn't hard to persuade him to come in a week before Halloween and talk spooky stuff like the Winchester House, which is a legitimate, you can go on YouTube and find videos about the actual construction, which is fascinating.
It is amazing.
But really, most of the stories turn out to be the theories, the ghost story, and Sarah Winchester was a fascinating character. And as you said, Max, she seemed like a decent lady. She tried to do right. She was trying to make amends for, whatever wrong she thought Winchester did. And also trying to help her, the people that worked for her and stuff. So, but there's too much to unpack. So we've set the table. You go on YouTube and have fun.
Go enjoy. Yeah.
So, Allan, is this this is a story from California, which honestly, I don't know why we haven't discussed this before. And I hope this isn't going to just, turn into a big panic fest or something, but it's about gas. It's about,
this is
gas
one of those
stoves, furnaces, everything. So,
well, every so often something comes along and we kind of go, and this was those moments when everything changed.
Okay. Yeah.
California has come along and said, we're done with natural gas.
Okay. Done.
It's a little bit of a shocker. A lot of people are kind of looking at it going, wait a minute, what are you talking about? And the simple fact is that in 97% of the homes tested throughout California, they were finding drastic levels of byproducts of natural gas consumption.
Can I say something before, just to set the table for my own,
Yes.
Yeah.
So, because I lived in San Diego, as you know, and to be honest, I don't remember anybody that I knew that had a gas stove. Everything was electric. Even the heating units was electric. I don't know if there's a reason for that, but I will say, having lived there, California tends to do everything to the extreme. It's like, oh, okay, instead of modifying our natural gas use, we're just cutting it off altogether, which is what hacks a lot of people off, and which is why some people move. But I'm just saying, so take it for what it is.
Well, yeah, that's why we're kind of bringing it up, because California is a huge marketplace where many, many things happen that are bellwethers, either for what everybody else isn't going to do, or what everybody else is eventually going to do.
Yeah.
So just pointing out that this is one of those major design elements of a home.
Yeah.
You know, do you have gas heat? Mm-hmm. Do you have a gas stove? Yeah. And we're gonna have to pick on housing just a little bit to kind of set the full stage. Is a house built in the 50s, the word drafty doesn't even come in the conversation. Yeah, you had air blowing through that thing everywhere.
My house is not well insulated.
Your house is a great example.
Yeah.
However, let's go someplace close like Nashville, and you have a nice 80s, 90s, or 2000 house with modern technology and really good walls and really great insulation. And
we have that here too, Allan. We don't have to. Nashville.
I'm picking on Nashville for
I'm
picking on them for a particular reason.
Okay,
because they're in the Piedmont mountainous area, and they have a higher incident of radon gas than we do.
In your face, Nashville.
Oh man. Please send all complaints to Joe Thornton, care of. Yeah. So that's the reason I'm bringing that up. Is that because we suddenly had so much better protected houses, now we accidentally created another problem.
Right.
So radon gas could be seeping into your home via subterranean methods, and because we're so sealed up that it's not escaping.
Okay.
Well, so now let's go to California and let's talk about the gas stove. And they're talking about that pretty much it didn't matter if a pilot light was burning somewhere, you are getting micro leaks of all kinds of chemicals, including benzene.
So in other words, when there was ventilation, this stuff sort of, and maybe it's also just this fact that we didn't think about it. We just wanted to cook our food and move along. And so
a little bit of both, maybe, it was one of these things you didn't find it if you weren't looking.
Yeah.
Two, I being in the food industry for many, many, many years of my life, I have worked around gas stoves for decades. But in a restaurant, you have huge vent-hoods and you've got air being pumped and pushed and pulled everywhere. So ventilation is just part of the everyday world.
Yeah, because
you're not at home.
Because for your furnace, it is properly ventilated because, you can't install a furnace without ventilation. So we're talking more about stoves and things like that. And maybe gas fireplaces and stuff.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
We're talking about things that are, in your living space. Mm-hmm. And this is going to be interesting to watch how this falls out and parlays, because this is hundreds of millions of dollars in equipment. This is design changes. This is
how do you just implement
basically
this?
Like I said, I'm just reporting the news here going, this is a huge thing, because now if your house, if you're in, I guess we were just picking on San Jose.
Yeah.
In San Jose, if you got a fabulous, you got a couple of gas fireplaces and you got a great big brand new shiny commercial gas stove sitting there in the kitchen you just spent $30,000 on.
I got a question, Allan, because, this is the thing. I don't want to be breathing in benzene. I don't want to be breathing. I like the notion that we're conscientious of keeping the air clean. However, I guess I'm wondering, is this seems like a very draconian solution. Is there ways to improve the detecting technology? Like, for example, would your carbon monoxide detector, if you had it in the kitchen near the stove, would it be picking this stuff up? Or
no, it's not designed to pick up benzene or the chemicals that they're looking for now.
Okay. I don't know, man. Maybe we need better ventilation or better something. But this seems very severe.
This could, the reason I bring this up today, Joe, is especially for like you and I looking at building setup, building design, and maintenance of, are we going to have makeup air in the kitchen?
Yeah.
Like we do in a restaurant.
Yeah.
That may be a big change. Brandon is a huge foodie.
Yeah.
He's got this look on his face like, huh?
Well, the look on my face like this though is I have to ask: do they report when the official date that because whenever the government, no matter who it is, steps in and says, "Well, we're going to get rid of this," they always give you a projected date for when they
in
have
2045 or something.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
so it's like
so have they given the actual?
This is just the first release of the report that came in and said, "Oh, whoa, we have a huge problem here," and this is the first knee-jerk reaction. Nothing is official.
Yeah,
this
that's
is,
what I wondered.
Nothing has happened yet, but this is that moment where you need to start thinking.
Yeah.
I'm going to really phrase it just like that. You need to start thinking, because if you're going to be designing a home,
right,
this is something
you need
to take into consideration.
You've got to know whether or not you
need additional ventilation? Do you need a different kind of setup? Is there this now poses hundreds of questions that are going to be litigated over, that are going to be designed around, and that people like us are going to be building, designing, or maintaining.
And you bringing up, the fireplace, the new stove, and everything else that the people may have just put in, or this may be something you've had forever. What government assistance are you going to get to replace that? Those gas lines and things that are more electrical in nature, a more different heating system instead of those fireplaces and everything else. Because when it comes down to it, somebody's going to, the government's going to expect you to fit the bill, which means lawsuits are coming out in droves.
Yeah, I think they announced this stuff. We are in election season, but the bigger thing was, I just think the conversation it starts, I think, is actually good. We should be thinking about, you don't want to be breathing this stuff in.
Absolutely. And personally, I'm of the opinion that if you live anywhere near a fault line, you need to be off the gas line anyway. That's my own personal opinions, but it's like I was sitting across from somebody who was lighting it, who was cooking on a gas stove yesterday. Every time you hear that pilot light click, 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 when it doesn't, immediately
it's
jump
pumping
to
out gas.
You're just sitting there going, I should not be sitting here. I'm going to blow up.
I'm not a cook, so I have no, I can't speak to this. But Allan, I guess there's some people that they swear by it. My flambe has to be done on a gas.
I have cooked on a commercial gas stove for
decades.
Oh, do I have to say 40 years? I do have to say 40 years.
I would have just said decades. That could have been two.
So have I stood there, in front of, a wall of flame cooking? Yes, absolutely. However, I was usually standing under a giant ventihood with, air.
Yeah.
Air moving constantly in a commercial kitchen.
That filtration is very important when you're cooking on an open flame, whether it's gas, charcoal, whatever.
Yeah. That inside the house returned ventilation from the cutesy little ventihood, may not be, maybe that needs to be rethought. Maybe this needs to be outside vented. Maybe this needs to be so welcome to the first shot across the bow, but with, constant concerns about global warming and greenhouse gases and, a lot of technological changes on the way, suddenly getting this article out of California going, look, we went all over the state, and it didn't really matter where we went or what gas company we went in behind.
Yeah.
We were going in these houses, and some of these houses were multiple times over the legal contamination limit.
That might explain a lot, because I met some kind of strange people in California.
What? Just saying.
I don't think you're breathing in that benzene.
I don't think it was
day.
the gas leaks, Joe. That was something else that was being breathed in.
So, welcome, kind of just welcome to the next round we're probably going to be talking about for years. So I just wanted to throw this on the table and go, ventilation is, we keep talking about air quality.
Yeah,
ventilation now really just stepped up to a major part of what we're going to be thinking about in the future.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a good thing. Let's just deal with it in a responsible way that doesn't put everybody out of business.
Don't freak
or you don't
out.
have to tear
The
your
world
house
is
out
not
or,
ending. We're not coming to take your stove from you. You're not this, you're not that.
Yeah.
But this article was very poignant and posed a lot of very big questions that states like California are going to take very seriously and are going to begin moving, I'm going to say moving aggressively towards solutions.
Okay. Hey, Allan, I want to turn the corner because well, before we do that, one thing we always neglect, we get to the end of the show and we forget to remind people about some of the things we're involved in. So before we transition to our next segment, tell us what's cooking with Dark Oak Media this week.
Dark Oak Media right now, of course, of all of the things haunted with Haunted to New Orleans is our biggest playlist at the channel at darkoakmedia.com.
Well, it's that time of the year.
It is time to talk about things that go bump in the night. We got plenty of shows for that. Next in popularity right now is, of course, the infamous It Came from the International Market, where hapless volunteers get to eat weird snack foods from around the world.
Yeah.
We need to get you on the show, Joe. You need to do it. Come on, Brandon. Talk him into it.
Man. Yeah.
Talk him into it, Brandon.
That's a waste of snacks.
And the hot thing right now is Scott J. Carroll has a new Quizem show called Let Me Ask You This, and it's really popular in its third episode.
Okay. Well, he's a smart guy. I will give him that. And I really like his animated shorts. Those are my favorite things.
He think he's smart.
Yeah. Okay.
I love Scott, but he's a BS artist across the board. He's also one of the best storytellers I've ever seen come out of your crop of people.
Yep. He's pretty good.
Yeah.
We're not going to tell him that personally.
Oh, no. He's pretty good, and he's not awake yet to listen to this show.
Oh, no. He'll listen. He'll listen later. And, of course, I got to tell you, Joe, majorly popular around the world. 2 radio shows that we put out.
Yeah, imagine that.
Tool Talk Radio and Geek Tank Radio.
Yeah,
Hello, New Zealand. We love you guys. You guys keep listening. But send us some emails.
We'd love you more if you contacted us.
Yeah, send us some emails. We see you listening.
And I still want that video of you flushing your toilet so the water can go backwards and we can see, authentic New Zealand plumbing.
Problem is they're going to use their cell phone camera, so it'll be
All right, so check it out, darkoakmedia.com. Okay, and so just for this, just for these few weeks, I'm shifting gears. I'm not going to talk about my carpentry work because I put on another hat, and it's getting things finalized for the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention. And Brandon, look, you're here. Why don't you go ahead and update people on what they need to know with the upcoming Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention? So
okay. We're going to be at the Memphis Marriott East. Once again, we have...
Beautiful location,
we have Adasa, who voiced Dolores from Encanto. She's going to be our guest of honor. All the kids in town are like singing We Don't Talk About Bruno, and it's getting stuck in my head. I understand your pain now, Joe.
Yeah. It is a pretty hot song, though.
Recently.
Yeah.
We also we're returning to our roots, sort of. Mm-hmm. We're bringing back the Piranha Room, which Joe has a long, storied history with. But if you want him to talk about it, catch us at the convention, ask him there. We don't have time on the radio to talk about it.
80s Gothic music dance club.
What's amazing
Saturday night.
What's amazing this year is that you get in free to the Piranha Room if you buy your tickets to the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention, whether it be the 3-day pass, the Saturday pass, the weekend pass, whatever you buy. You get into the Piranha Room for free. But if the Piranha Room is the only thing you're excited about, we actually have tickets for just the Piranha Room at the door.
Yeah, $5.
It's $5 to get into the Piranha Room, and it's going to be 80s goth music, black lights, art. Just come out.
It's a club environment.
It's a club environment.
A lot of fun.
Come out in your best goth gear or your weirdest goth cosplay. We're just going to have a good time.
Yeah.
I also want to go ahead and say that after missing out last year, we're bringing back our Lego build table and our derby track.
Yeah.
Which, if you're just if you're bored between panels, go to the build table. See how creative you can be.
Well, and it's a Lego, race track. It's Lego racing. It's fun. Hey, hang on, Allan, because Allan's got his hand up. One other thing that we are bringing back. Last year with COVID, we weren't able to do our normal thing. But this year with video gaming, we've really stepped up, and we've got a great partnership with the University of Memphis esports team. They're running tournaments all weekend, and video gaming is going to be very, very involved this year. It's going to be really good. So, yeah.
Okay, a number of people have begun texting me about their melted shoes on floor furnaces. And Brandon, I have a message for you.
Yeah.
From Scott J. Carroll, who said, by the way, let Brandon know, I'm awake.
Why? Why, Scott? It's a Saturday morning.
And I don't know that this is a selling point, but Allan's going to have his team over there at the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention, including Scott J. Carroll, so they'll be set up.
I don't know if we've told Scott J. Carroll himself, but Storytime with Scott J. Carroll will be happening on Saturday. I believe it's between Adassa's Q&A and the costume contest, sometime in there.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's going to be a great weekend, and we purposely keep our ticket prices affordable. So we are really probably the most affordable convention in town. So bring your family.
We want you to bring the family out because I'm not going to say we're an all ages con, but we do have fun for all ages.
Yeah. No, we're
I keep overlooking this, but we've got a special event happening Saturday morning,
right?
Kicking off at 8:00. We've got Heroes of Lotus Night. Kenny Dunn and his crew are going to be putting on a show down in our ballrooms that morning,
right?
And if you've ever seen their art, it's worth it just to go and peruse what they're doing because it's going to be fully interactive.
Yeah, and we got to be careful because honestly, we'll eat. And I know this is Tool Talk Radio, but look, I do this once a year. Give me a break. So, but
and
check it out.
He does put in a lot of work, and he uses a lot of tools to get things set up. So
that's right.
Technically,
yes,
it fits the show.
We build a lot of stuff.
So but anyway, we'll be telling you more, and we'll probably do some ticket giveaways as we get even closer. But check it out. Go to Memphis CFC, like Comic Fantasy Convention, and definitely go to our the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention Facebook page. And give us a like and follow the action and the updates over there. And we hope to see you there. And especially if you're a Tool Talk listener, come up and say hello when you see us because that it's nice meeting the different.
You ever think that somebody gets to one of our conventions and walks up to just some random bald dude and goes, "Are you Joe or Allan?" And then it's neither one of you.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, enough shameless plugging.
Hey, they win a prize if they ask Joe a food question.
Yeah. All right, let's move it along. We've, because I can already hear the objections from certain people that we spent too long on this. So anyway, Allan, you inspired me, and this is a new segment. Max, you haven't had time to create any music for this, but I think this is going to be an ongoing segment called Design Flaws.
Oh, wow.
I mean, you totally triggered me with that story about the furnace because we have this tendency, we go into the big box store, we walk into a home, just because something at that moment is the latest and cutting edge technology doesn't mean it's necessarily the best or good. I look at stuff these days and I'm like, in 5 years, nobody's going to be using that, So I wanted to just kick it off with one of the ones that I pretty much rail against every week. And it's, okay, I'm gonna give it a fighting chance. Press board versus chip board. Okay, chip board, if you don't know, press board is basically the way it's made. And my shop teacher, he was horrified to even discuss, back because he taught us classical furniture building. He taught us no screws or nail. You use glue. You use the proper wood joints. Press board was like anathema to him. So, but basically, folks, if you don't know what it is, just imagine grinding up wood to basically a powder, mixing it with glue, and running it out of a press like a hot dog. And flattening it out.
Isn't how they used to make pulp books back in the 40s, Allan?
And that is why it's called pulp.
Pulp, yeah. I mean, okay, I'm not going to lie. I've used it for selective things. There are things where if you don't care about something, or if it's, and I mean, I hate to say it, a lot of cabinet work is used with this. There is a difference, though. There's a difference in sometimes the particles are bigger. Sometimes it's a little bit better made. But honestly, it doesn't matter. If you get this thing wet, it's over. It swells up, it loses its strength, and it's over. And it,
turns back into the pile of dirt that it began as. Yes.
However,
in fact, if you bought that $20 bookshelf because you're like, oh, it looks good, it's the same stuff.
To the degree, the thing I always heard being touted was the fact that it is okay. Well, we're not wasting trees and everything. Well, my beef is okay. You're taking you're taking a perfectly organic material, which is actually healthy for the ground, which is organic and it breaks down and it's biodegradable, and you're adding chemical. Well, I don't see any, problem with just returning it to the ground. Trees are a renewable resource. We grow them. It's not like we're going to run out of tree. We can grow them back. So, but I just wanted to chime in with chipboard. Now, chipboard I don't hate as much. Chipboard is basically you take all these different chips of wood and you glue them together. So you might have a 4 or 5 inch chip of wood and they slap it together, usually for plywood. And sometimes you see that as sort of an underlayment on newer construction. That one's got a little bit more durability, and it's not meant to be exposed to the outdoors. So,
all right, well,
I'm okay with that one.
Neither one of those are designed for exterior anything. The press board, however, it's really designed as really a filler.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you need something in the back of something that no one's ever going to see, no one's ever going to know.
Yeah.
And the other problem with that press board stuff, it's heavy.
It is, yeah.
That stuff is heavy.
Yeah.
Plain out and simple. Now, you give me a really good plywood, oh, that stuff's good and durable.
Right. Yeah. So we're gonna do that. I appreciate you inspiring me, Allan, because when you really triggered me with that floor furnace story, because we've all had bad
we've all got
experiences
wounds.
with that.
We've all got scars. Trust me.
So, and if you've got any ideas for design, things that are designed improperly, you're not allowed to include this show or anything. But get in touch. You can get in touch with us any day of the week at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. And if you want to leave a voice message, leave it at 901-921-7105. Well, the sound is there, you guys. We're out of time. It's been another interesting episode of Tool Talk Radio, but it's time to get out of here. So on behalf of my buddy Allan Gilbreth, our pal Max behind the glass, and our pal Brandon Olmstead, I'm Joe Thorderson. Thanks for listening to Tool Talk Radio, and we'll see you next week.